Well, welcome back to the late day wrap up, of which we want to be following up on the short term, medium term timeframes for Bitcoin. We actually didn't even touch on traditional markets this morning, so we're going to do a full perusal of that today. And with that said, I will actually keep this one as fast as possible because I have a little bit of a call to get to right after this. But with that said, I would like to wish you the best and the haves the happiest, and let's get into it right now. As always, start off with DXY. I won't go through the whole damn spiel on this one. You already fucking know. We've been saying the same goddamn things for literally like 3 to 4 months now, and I would be looking at this as a nice local low area. We did get that move down to about 91.5 from yesterday, based off the old Powell news. Not necessarily news, but that is like an actual fundamental type thing, you know, talking about the stimulus checks and basically giving his vote of confidence, saying that the Fed will support the U.S. economy pretty much no matter what, which is, you know, quite the thing. Anyways, as it stands right now, coming back down, we already came down to that $91.5 region. Actually overshot it a little bit here, but that's okay. That's fine. As long as we don't see a daily closure below there, I still remain bullish on this one overall. Still looking for a target of about 93.5 over time to get hit, with a more medium target right around that $92.5 region. Now, what I would say about 92.5, there's a big implication with this one. As soon as you see it go above 92.5, or wherever last week's high is, which is actually literally quite literally 92.5, I would be looking for that continuation to about 93.5. And if we do see a weekly close coming at the end of this week, anywhere above, let's call it about $92, I would look for that same sort of continuation, you know, more sooner rather than later, so to speak. So with all of that said, you know, still more or less remaining bullish on this one. Short-term timeframes are, looking like a little bit of a higher low to me right here. I know that people are going to say, but Krown, they're printing the money. Well, remember, it's always relative to all other fiat currencies. So with that in mind, I would say that DXY in comparison to, the dollar in comparison to all other, all the major fiat currencies around the world is going to be more or less bullish. At least in my eyes, over the next few months. Now, of course, on the short-term timeframes, there's going to be ebb and flows. No shit. We can even just take a quick perusal of euro-dollar, because this one's actually very much relevant for me. This one actually already coughing up the rally a bit, and so I would be looking for that. You know, again, this is very clearly a rejection signal right here. I'd actually be looking for a move back down to about 118.5 region, perhaps another try for a bounce there. But overall, I do remain bullish on that one over the long term, and that will be putting downwards pressure on price action if you are on Forex land and trading against the dollar right there, just in general. That is. All right, moving on to our major U.S. markets here. I want to start off with Dow Jones, because I do believe that this one is leading right now, and I do believe that this one actually is the most, it's just the most relevant for what we're going to be talking about right here. So Dow Jones is already putting in a nice higher low on the short-term timeframes, already retesting that prior all-time high. Again, we didn't talk about it on this morning's video, so I can't say this is a follow-up for that. But what I would say is that I'd be looking for a full-on test of the prior all-time high here, which is really not that far away at about $33,050, and very likely new all-time highs. Any sort of a daily closure here or higher above $33,000 will imply new all-time highs, probably coming into Friday, as well as I believe we're already on Thursday. If we go into the medium-term timeframes, like a 4-hour, it just looks like continuation with momentum oscillators still pointed northwards, even putting in a little bit of hidden potential bullish divergence off this potential higher low, which will be confirmed anywhere on a closure on this next 4-hour dildo above $33,000, especially even above 32,965 would do it for me as well. That would confirm the hidden bullish divergence and very likely print new all-time highs. Is there measure moves? If there targets to be made off this one? Not really at this point. I mean, this one's kind of been no man's land at this point. In a blue sky breakout, price discovery, whatever the fuck you want to call it, generally upside is implied, and that is going to spill on over into all the major U.S. indices, and in general most things within the market, which we can go check out SPY features right here too. You can see on those short-term timeframes, it's very, 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 very similar to what we see on Dow Jones, but it's almost as if Dow Jones is a little bit of a time machine here, already putting this low right here on the hourly. If you go back to SPY, looks very, very similar, of course, with momentum oscillators looking like they're posturing for another twist to the upside, although I don't see any trend lines here, so that is a little bit concerning. I would still be looking at this as likely to pop back up just due to the market dynamics right now, probably somewhere back around 3950-ish region, and perhaps beyond, depending upon the daily closure. If the daily closes anywhere above, let's call it 3950, really, I'd probably be looking for this one to make new all-time highs as well. There is one major thing to be aware of here, though. If you do see any price lower than yesterday's low, that's 39.25, so actually really not all that far away from price action right now, I would look for a bigger leg down somewhere right around about 3,900 even, and probably a short-term time frame bounce there, with actually would imply continuation of the downside after that. But again, first and foremost, bias right now based off of Dow Jones is still bullish. And, even if things did come down to like 39, yes, it would imply further downside of like 38.50 over time. But that, again, I'd be looking for bounce around there and potentially continuation off that level. Moving on to NASDAQ, what do we see right here? We see a little bit more of a rejection, actually. This one looking a little bit more under pressure. In fact, this one looking like it does not want to follow through with what we see on Dow Jones. So this one would be certainly the outlier on that. And I would say that NASDAQ is, well, more correlated with Bitcoin actually too, which is bad for our Bitcoin analysis coming up. But that's okay, at least for now. Have we already taken out yesterday's low? We did take out yesterday's low, in fact. And so that at the very, well, we've already kind of hit the 10 simple here, to be fair. But overall, this one actually could turn back down, as we do have potential hidden bearish evidence on the other side. So here's what I'd say about this one. I actually do need to see closures on this one, but any sort of a closure, any fucking sort of a closure today below, especially the 21 exponential average, which we're actually below right now at $13,020, I would be looking for this one to come all the way back down, play out that hidden bearish evidence at the very least to about 12,750. That would also be a damn good warning signal that Bitcoin is actually going to head down alongside with it, as we typically do see these things pretty damn correlated on the whole. Anyways, for right now though, I still do run with the assumption essentially that Dow Jones kind of picks it up, because this market is, rotational market after all, and so probably does play off the same sort of metrics there. Anyways, with that said, we can go check out, do we want to check out gold again? I'm still looking at a bounce on gold most likely. Let's see, where the fuck is gold? Gold where the fuck are you? Hey, for real, where the hell actually is it? I do this every goddamn day. You'd think that I'd actually remember. Okay, here we go. Gold, 17 and 27 and 3/4. Nice sevens all around there. And what do we see right here? A bit of a rejection at the 21 exponential average. What do we see on top of that? I mean, still kind of playing out that death cross. Is the next move to the downside or the upside? I'm generally looking for a bounce here overall. So that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be on record as saying, or that's what I want to be saying on record. Is that the right way to say it? I don't fucking know, man. But that's really over the next few weeks. Probably over the next couple months, if anything. For right now, short term, it actually does look a little more downside imposed. If you do see another move back down towards where the next sort of bouncy bounce area be, I guess it would be about 1713 to 1710-ish region. See what the daily says as well. I don't know where it kind of got down there. Fair enough. No opinion on this one. Short term, it does look actually downside imposed, but I'll still be playing with a weekly bounce there over the next couple months. So, a little bit of short term down. I don't know, if it wants to come back down to like 1710, 1713-ish region, that'd be completely fine. But I would be looking for bounce at least on the first pass on that one. Anyways, moving on into Bitcoin. So Bitcoin on this morning stream, I think we were trading like right below $59,000. Again, all higher term time frames still very much bullish to me right here. However, the lower term time frames playing out a bit of a move down to about that 57,500-ish pivot. I was saying 58,000 is the pivot here, and I would still be sticking with this as $58,000 pivot for a 4-hour closure, that is. So any sort of a 4-hour closure, which we actually do have one closing in about 56 minutes and 38 seconds and counting here. If it does come below $58,000 pivot, which is also a 2.618 Fibonacci extension right here, I would look for another drop down, around the bottom side of this range. The range still essentially is as it was, likely down to about $55,000, and that would still actually be higher lows within this region. So I would still be looking at this as reaccumulation. It would still fit into long-term bullish bias, and of course, it should be denoted. Well, I don't want to go through the full explanation of this. Of course, if we do go back to our secondary charts, I just want to remind myself. Of course, the monthly is, hey, that's not the monthly for Bitcoin. That's the monthly for Ethereum. The monthly for Bitcoin still more or less, bullish. I don't really see anything bearish about that. Weekly, fine. With say, okay, show me the bi-weekly. Bi-weekly also very much fine as well too. Just trending above the top side Krown band. And the quarterly, same thing, which is closing at the end of this month. So all higher term time frames still do remain bullish here. But the thing with that is that that bi-weekly read that can take about 3 to 4, well, about more like 2.5 to 3 weeks now to probably play out at the very latest, and potentially within the next week to week and a half. But that would be a little bit more aggressive. Anyways, that is likely going to be mediated by the short term time frames right here. And I would say there are a few concerning things. To be fair, there actually are a few concerning things. What do I mean by that? Well, first things first, 4 hours associated way the fuck up there. And we are, well, more or less slinking down the range, which is typically not a good signal. If we go to the 3 hours, probably already turning around. Indeed, it is. If we go to the bi-hourly, it is certainly already turned around, and it has. And the hourly is actually on the other side of that equation. So a little bit of sideways is what it likely does equate to. If I am going off of Dow Jones, which I do believe is the correct thing to be doing, I actually would be looking for a bounce here. And full disclosure, I actually do have a little bit of risk on this one as well, but I will de-risk, or I won't de-risk. I'll just close the position on any sort of a closure below $58,000 or anywhere below 57. 2005 in that regard. Not that I should even really be talking about that kind of stuff on a video like this, but more importantly, when we go over here to the 12-hour and the daily, should also be denoted that yes, 12-hour Stokes turning back around and technically speaking rejecting the bearish control zone with any sort of a closure today above this level will obviously confirm that. And then the daily sort of same thing here too, just kind of riding upon the 10 simple moving average for what it's worth right now. So again, if we're going to make a correlation between that and our lower term timeframes, again, it all comes down to that $58,000 region. Same level that was very much relevant on the way down is going to be relevant on the way up, and well, it was also relevant on the way up over here too. So a nice pivot for that one. And so far, technically speaking, Bitcoin is just kind of hovering right around it. And with the strength in Dow Jones that we do see, which is very likely to probably make new all-time highs, if I had to guess, probably going to pick up all the rest of the markets too. So, if I had to call it right now, I still stick with my long-term bullish bias on Bitcoin. Short-term, if we break this area here, yes, I would have a short-term bearish bias, and that would be, basically like a $2.5 to $3,000 move down to these levels back here at the very least. Probably bounces implied. I'd want to come back to it tomorrow before saying anything else on top of that. But again, for what it's worth right now, I still do like medium and higher term timeframes. So with that said, as long as we don't break 58,000 bucks, more or less, I'd basically be bullish on all timeframes, I suppose, and mostly be looking for traditional markets for direction here. Again, I think that this one kind of speaks for itself, especially on our medium and higher term timeframes, but even the lower term timeframes already confirming a local low. I do think that it generally will move up with the rest of the market. So with that in mind, I do want to wish you well. I do want to wish you the best of the best and the happiest. Actually, we didn't even talk about upside targets for Bitcoin. Truthfully speaking, I actually do think that Bitcoin will pull it through to the upside probably here. Probably does have a short-term move back to like 59,250-ish region. Any sort of a closure above 59.2, which is going to be your next short-term time frame pivot, and I'd be looking for continuation basically to that 61? No, a little bit above 6,000 bucks right here. It would just be general continuation here. And again, long term, I don't really have any real reason to change the analysis there as long as these sort of pivots hold. Of course, still about 55,000 bucks what we can move up the current daily pivot to, actually 55.5 on a daily closure. And for what it's worth right now, still kind of holding in there as Bitcoin does tick right up to 58,000 at this exact moment. So with that said, I think it is time for me to wish you the best of best. Once again, I'll be signing off now. I got to get on a phone call, and I salute you. See you soon. Take care.